All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of the CFT Fitcast. My name is Coach Vinny, and to my right we have Ryan Kirby and the elusive Coach Matt.
What's up, fam?
So how are we doing out there, world? Welcome, welcome. We do have a special guest. Like I said, this is Ryan Kirby. He just happens to be a professional baseball player.
No big deal.
No big deal. He is in the San Francisco Giants organization. His dad is one of the main coaches next door at TDO, which is the Dugout. So if you haven't been over to CFT Fitness or the Dugout, you got to get over here and see what we do in both worlds, fitness and everything that they're doing on the other side in baseball. So I'm not going to talk too much right now. I'm going to let Ryan introduce himself, and we're going to throw some questions at him. We're going to focus on training for the elite level athlete, more importantly, the professional level athlete from Ryan's standpoint. Myself and Coach Matt, we're actually going to be getting to train this athlete over here for the next 3 months. Well, he's either going to love or hate us, but our goal is to prep him for when he goes away at the end of the year, almost the beginning of the year, right? Was it end of December you head out? We got a big goal, so before we say anything, why don't you step up to the mic and really introduce yourself, and we'll throw some stuff at you.
All right, well, as you said, I'm Ryan Kirby. I play for the San Francisco Giants. I'm in their organization, so I play in the minor leagues. I was drafted in 2016. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I do. I play baseball a lot. Minor leagues, you play a 144-game season. And, you know, it's a grind. It's every single day, so it takes a lot to be ready to play. But, yeah, that's pretty much what I do. And right now it's the off season, so, you know, I'm just working out and going to start getting ready for next year, which is still 6 months away. So
Beautiful. So you're in your off season right now. We've seen you next door for probably the last couple of weeks doing your thing, everything from hitting in the cages, running through all your warm-up drills. Just like you said, you had a long season, and you know now you're finally getting to that point where you've got these great goals of putting on some weight, just becoming a better athlete, and it's going to be awesome to train you, to really work with a pro-level athlete. I mean, that's stuff that trainers dream of, and from the programming, which I'm going to let Coach Matt talk about. So what are we going to do for this kid?
Well, pretty much our main plan for our program is all about increasing strength. Not only increasing strength, but adding some muscle as well. I know he has a goal of adding about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle. Definitely going to be able to hit that 15-pound marker just based on the program that we're going to kind of follow. So we're going to introduce a little bit of a Windler method to kind of build a foundation, but twist it up just a little bit. So the Windler method is great for beginners to develop strength and speed on the barbell, but the way we're going to do is we're going to introduce a little bit more volume. Since he's on an elite level, we can go ahead and assume that his training volume is pretty substantial in his ability. It's very elite, so we don't need to start at a base program. We just need to start introducing really fine, intricate programs that are going to work on small tweaks and adjustments, but also develop his foundational strength and power. And that's important for baseball players, especially a first baseman, someone who needs to be able to stretch and reach out, recover quickly, and throw someone down at third base. Other than our strength training program, we have a lot of TRX work that we're going to do, and some Nike training course type of style training at a fast pace with a lot of footwork, developing speed and coordination, bat swing as well. So, Coach Vinny, you want to talk about a little bit about how we're going to develop that?
Yeah.
That end of the house?
Yeah, and yesterday was our first initial time sitting down with Ryan. You know, I've never met him before. We've just heard great things. You know, we know Pat, his father, next door. And, you know, bringing him in here, you know, we really sat down with him yesterday and got down some great goals. You know, he definitely has his head on his shoulders where it needs to be, and, you know, asking us questions to not only why am I doing this, what am I doing it for. You know, he's definitely an open book, and everything that we're going to be teaching him is stuff that hopefully he's going to take with him wherever, you know, there's probably guys on his team that aren't doing any of this. So when he shows up to camp at the end of the year, he's going to be that much advanced.
Yeah. And that's what makes the difference between elite athletes and your athletes that never make it to that next stage, either at the collegiate or elite level, and the guys that want to put in the work, the guys who not just put in the work but want to understand why it is they're doing what they're doing and how it's going to make them a better athlete. They have a deep passion not only for the game, whatever game that might be, but also their performance. And that's kind of the type of clients that I enjoy, that I got into this industry to train, are the people who want to be better, that want to become stronger, faster, not just a better version of themselves, but a better version of themselves on the field at a competitive level. And you really get to experience and feel the heart and the passion those people might have for their game, and that relays right into their training. They don't walk into the door dragging feet, complaining about what it is they got to do, or, oh, we're doing 15 minutes of muscle up accumulation today. That sucks. Why are we doing that? Can we do something else instead? No. They're like, okay, well, let's get it done. Let's work on it. Is this right? Am I doing it correctly? Am I hitting the right reps? Am I getting the right number? Is this hard enough for me to do? Am I challenging myself enough? Or am I pushing myself too far? Those are the different types of athletes, and those you can even see those differences even at his level, at the elite level. You have your lazy athletes who rely on their talent, and then you have guys who don't have a lot of talent that need to rely on their hard work and dedication so that they can maintain and develop that hard work ethic and that talent.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between the great athletes and the average athletes, is that the great athletes do everything with a purpose. And that's what all the coaches, they preach to you all the time. Do it with a purpose, but athletes don't always realize what that means. And it's understanding that everything you do is going to help you, and everything you do has a reason for that. And I think when you do know those reasons, it takes everything to a new level, because you're doing it for that purpose, and you know why you're doing it. And that's big for me in everything that I do when it comes to hitting, fielding, anything in baseball wise. You have to do it with a purpose to get better every day. And that's the same thing strength wise and conditioning, is that you have to get better every single day. And even if it's just a little bit, as long as you're getting better, that's the key to being successful.
Mm-hmm. And in today's age where performance enhancing everything is out there, when it comes to a baseball player, a football player, Ryan's got a skill set. He's a talented baseball player. Steroids, performance enhancing, whatever, does not make him a better baseball player. Yeah, he might get stronger.
He'll recover faster.
But
he's still got to put in the work.
But exactly, he's still got to work. He's still got to show up day in and day out. And that's what, even before we started filming, he's next door hitting balls in the batting cage, And next week we're going to start Monday, and we're going to go 4 hard days with him, and the best part is he's going to get to train with 2 different coaches, but our programming is going to be all on the same level, to where it doesn't matter if it's me or Matt or Coach Chris, Ryan's going to get a quality workout. And he came in here with some really good goals that are all measurable.
Attainable goals.
Attainable. Mm-hmm. They're reachable. It's stuff that we can observe over time and track all the data. So instead of me telling everybody what his goals are, Ryan, what's your outcome, your mindset going into this training, and what do you really want to do over these next 3 months with us?
Yeah, so basically I want to get as functionally strong as I possibly can, where I focus on the movements and I perfect the movements, and then with that, being able to put up more weight and get stronger will come because I'm good at moving in different situations. So being a first baseman, there's a lot of lunging involved, so I need to get good at lunging variations. I need to get good at squats, because first basemen need to hit home runs. So squats, deadlifts, lunges, all that stuff comes into play. And for me, being that first baseman, I need to be as strong as possible. And the thing about baseball and being a professional athlete is that you can't just go out there and get as big as you possibly can where you can't move. I need to be as athletic as possible. So everything that I do needs to reinforce athleticism, flexibility, mobility, and all that stuff. So instead of just going up in strength, but my mobility stays down, well, that's a problem. So I need everything to go up together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, I'm 190 pounds. I want to get up to 205, 210, which obviously Matt and Vinny think I can do easy.
Yep. And then you might, people out there might say, like, man, he wants to gain all this weight. How is he still going to be fast and maintain his functional side of the fitness? Coach Matt, how are we going to do that? How are we going to keep this kid functional? And he's going to put on 15 pounds. How is he going to stay fast?
Well, good question. Obviously, it's not hoove of you as a professional athlete, specifically a first baseman, to be really strong in the squat. But then when it comes to spreading your legs apart to catch a ball in the dirt and you can't get down there, pretty much it goes against what your job is. Yeah, you're strong. And yeah, you can hit the ball hard, but you can't reach out and grab a ball that's in the dirt over here on the foul line. So that then you're kind of trading the strength for your performance. So Vinny and I are going to get together, or we're getting together, and we're making this synergistic program that kind of complements one another, whether it's TRX, suspension, core training, strength training, and mobility and functionality. We're able to bring all of these modules together and encompass it throughout a 4-week program. So for mobility and flexibility and functional fitness, like he was saying, or functional strength, the one way we're going to do that is incorporate a specific warm-up and cool-down that's tailored to his mobility and flexibility restrictions, or even his strengths and what he's good at. So things like groin, hamstring, and quad function, make sure that everything's not only working and firing correctly, but whenever he's reaching out for a lunge, he's able to utilize all of those systems all together, the hips, the hamstrings, and the quads, not just a couple here and there. That's how guys tear their groins all the time. They're really strong in the quads and the hams, but then when it comes to their adductors and their adductor strength, they really lack in that area just because they're so tight. They're really tight because they lift weights a lot. So implementing 10 to 15-minute warm-ups and cool-downs that are encompass this basic fundamental shapes that he needs to be able to make. A shape what could be a front rack for a barbell clean, or it could be his squat stance and his adductor mobility to be able to get low, or it could be his hamstring function. How far can he bend over and touch his toes without bending it or moving from his low back? So whether it's we're working on deadlifts or we're working on squats, we're working on core, everything is going to encompass the whole entire day of training, from the warm-up all the way down to the cool down, the strength all the way down to the cool down. So if we're working deadlifts, you can guarantee that we're going to be priming hamstrings, ensuring proper hamstring function and full range of motion before we load that system, those hamstrings and the hips. And then, of course, cooling it down would encompass long-term mobility. So that's where we get into smashing, hard core stretches, deep diaphragmatic breathing, where we're trying to release and relax those deep muscles, and like, for example, in the groin, because they are so deep and they do get so tight, especially when we're working heavy barbell work consistently day in and day out. So making sure that, he can still get to point A to point B really quick and fast, but it also as efficiently and functionally as possible.
Yep. And you figure with him playing, 120 games is what you
I think it's
just
more
went
than that.
through?
144 total.
And you figure once you get up to the big leagues, one day, that's 162 games in the season.
Plus playoffs.
Plus playoffs, which runs all October. So,
Sometimes into November.
Into November. So you could be looking at close to 200 games, And the mind of a baseball player doesn't really take time off because, spring training and early camps, that stuff comes early. So it's staying in shape year round. We all have seen good old, we'll call him the Panda. We won't call him by his real name, but we've seen baseball players go up and down with their weight. They get comfortable. Injuries can go up, lack of performance, unless you're comfortable being the heavy baseball player and you can turn your hips like that at the plate and, hit to both sides of the field. But maintaining your functionality is the biggest thing we're going to be really pushing with you. And so you have that longevity, more injury prevention, the strength, the conditioning, the speed, the agility, it's all, we know it's going to be there, but tapping into your recovery, your mobility, your flexibility, even proper sleep patterns, all of that, it's just going to let you as the ball player perform that much longer, and especially those longer seasons, like you said, if playoffs happen. Because, I mean, even in your minors, you're still going into playoffs, so it's prepping you for what's coming next, and you have those guys that probably can't cut it. They'll probably stay in the minors their entire career, and work a job on the side, but you don't want that. You want baseball to pay your bills one day,
exactly.
So let's dig in a little bit and maybe take a step back. I know there's a lot of people out there that are watching that may or may not have children who have the same goals and aspirations as his father did. So let's talk a little bit about what your youth training and or program like baseball skill work looked like
when did you start?
Youth, high school, collegiate to where you are now.
I started baseball early. I started playing Little League when I was 5. But the biggest thing for me is that, the dream of being a big leaguer, that started for me when I was young, when I first started playing. So even from the age of 5 or 6, I would be outside by myself with the little pitch back where you throw a ball into the net and it comes back and you're catching it.
I had one of those.
So because I loved the game so much, practice didn't feel like practice to me. So I didn't need my dad to tell me, hey, go outside and hit off the tee, take 100 swings.
You were already out there.
I was already out there.
Yep.
And that's the hardest thing for parents these days, is how do you get your kid to practice? Well, they have to love the game. There's no, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't have been out there practicing every day. But, I did. So, as I got older, my focus level started to get smaller.
Yep.
Onto that fine point, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But, if you don't have that love for the game, it's hard to do. So obviously I started playing when I was 5. Then I moved up. When I was 11, I started playing travel ball. That was the first time I started playing travel ball. And then when I was about 14, that was the first time where I moved on to a team without my dad. I had a different coach. And that was the first time where it kind of became really serious.
Yep. The demand gets pretty high when you hit your teens.
So I had to prove myself to a different person to garner playing time. So I'd seen that team NorCal. That was the first time where I really had to prove myself and work hard to earn all that playing time. And then when you do earn things, it feels good. So you want to keep on doing that. And that's the biggest thing for kids these days is that you need to set goals for them even when they're 5, 6 years old. It might be, hey, your goal might be to catch a ball 10 times in a row.
Yep.
But every time you achieve that goal, it releases that that dopamine in your head, which it's the happiness chemical or whatever you want to say. So every time you reach goals, then you become happy, and that's addicting. So with baseball, everything I did, I was trying to reach a goal. And again, that might be, hey, catch 5 balls in a row, and then you're done. Or if you're playing basketball, make the last shot. But every time you reach that goal, it makes you want to keep on doing tasks where you can
push your limits.
Your limits. And that's the biggest thing for anyone is, if you have goals, then it makes things fun when you reach them. And that's how you move up and you have success.
And it feels good to win.
Exactly.
Too.
That's another
and
goal. Winning is always a goal.
We're in a day and age now where the participation trophy is a big thing. When I played ball as a kid, and I'm 10 years older than you, there were no participation trophies. There was first place and second place, and I think teaching kids these days, the importance of winning, it feels good to win, but losing is what builds character because it sucks when you lose or you have a bad game and you go 0 for 4 at the plate with 2-3 strikeouts and maybe you Bill Buckner to ball at first base, all those things can really screw up your mindset as a ball player. And then you can see guys go into slumps. And, like you said, starting out at that really young age, that's when it gets demanding. When you're 11, 12 and you're doing travel ball and you're going to school all day, that's what really builds your character. And it shows now that you're in your 20s and you're getting older. So we're going to break right now, guys. We will be back. Leave us some comments and questions, and we'll see you back.
I'm Maggie Pedersen. I am 59. I started at CFT in February 2015. What made me decide to try it? Well, I was working with a very dear friend. Her and I were co-workers, and we always commented on how good she looked, on how toned she was. And unfortunately, I had just lost my father. All of a sudden, I had some time. I felt I had some time on my hands. Plus, I wasn't sleeping well. And so she suggested that I come and at least just try it. And I did. And I was hooked.
All right. We are back, guys. CFT Fitcast,
Live
episode
action.
7. Live action with our special professional guest, Ryan Kirby, member of the SF Giants organization. If you don't know, now you know. So when we cut our last little bit, we were talking about Ryan's start in baseball. We started talking about his youth and, the drive that he had getting into his early teen years and travel ball and just being a baseball player day in and day out. So we're going to just pick up from there. And
Before we pick up, though, I want to mention that he answered the question exactly how I wanted him to answer. The last one was you can't force your kids to play ball or play a sport.
Nope.
You can't live your life or your dreams and aspirations through your children. That is the quickest way to make them find another hobby real quick. So I just want to let that be known. That was right on the head. Perfect. So now we're going to jump into some high school athletics and collegiate athletics and Ryan, how did you maintain that fun aspect even at a high school or collegiate level where the competition, competing for your spot on the roster was still pretty important?
where'd you go to high school anyways?
I went to Granada High School. It's in Livermore.
Okay, Livermore. My wife graduated from Livermore.
Livermore there. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that keeps you sane and having fun is that you have teammates. You go out there, you make lifelong friends through sports, and through baseball, I've made some of my best friends I've ever had. So, they keep you out there and enjoying the game. I mean, if you get all caught up in the competition and you have to do this, you have to do that, the game it doesn't become fun anymore. Baseball's a fun game that you have to go out there, you have to enjoy yourself, and you have to know what you're trying to accomplish. As long as that goal is up top, but you know that you can have fun while trying to get there. That's the joy of playing the game, is being able to compete with your friends, compete against the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was fun for me. Was I like to go out there and I like to beat other teams. When I was in the batter's box, I like to beat the pitcher. When I'm in the field and balls hit to me, I like to make outs. I like to make the other guy not feel so good. That for me was fun. And being able to do that with teammates who enjoy the same things as you, that makes it even more fun. So that's definitely what keeps me going and having fun with the game is the competition.
Did you guys win any titles at Granada while you were there?
We didn't win. Well, we won the
playoff
East Bay.
runs,
We won
or?
the East Bay Athletic League, the regular season championship, my senior year. We started the season 20-0 before we lost our first game. We won the East Bay Athletic League, and then we lost the semifinals of NCS.
Good old E-ball.
That was a pretty memorable season there.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And as far as, you said that the teammates are what makes it fun at that level when you're still a kid, but you're still competing at that high level. I think people like Vinny and I who train and just work out and that try to find the fun that got us into working out is in high school, that keeps us going are the people that we work out with, the community that we've built here at CFT Fitness. I know that if I miss a workout, I feel pretty bad about it, like I let some people down that were expecting me to be there. And I think a couple people like that, a couple people around here feel the exact same way. And that's more or less their accountability or their drive or their passion that keeps them coming, is the fun and the camaraderie. I know whenever I was playing travel ball, or not travel ball, but All-Star, we had All-Star League, and we would travel a lot. That was probably the most fun in youth sports, when we all got to go like 3 or 4 hours away from home, all stayed in the same hotel, causing shenanigans. There's other teams in the same hotel, and you're just riffing and raffing over up and down the halls, and then the next day is game day, and it's still fun and exciting, but it's on that competitive fun level. I know the most memorable time of my life was when we were in baseball was when we were at Kentucky State and we were competing. We were like the 4th team. We weren't that great, but we were still competing at a pretty top level. And we turned a triple play like on one of the first plays, and I caught it in the outfield. I was a center fielder. I caught it in the outfield, threw it straight to second. That guy led way too soon, and then that guy went to third, threw it there, and boom, we turned a triple play really quick in the first inning, one of the first plays. And it was I'll never forget that because I had so much fun, and I wish that more of my teams could have been like that too, where we still had the skill and determination, but also had fun. Because I think that plays a factor too, is your team's skill and their ability. As long as if you can have as much fun as you want, but if everybody sucks, it's not fun eventually. Mm-hmm. So it's cool that you guys motivated and had fun, and but we're also a good baseball team, and that's the formula to just have a successful career and where you found yourself.
Yeah, and I think the best teams are the teams that you have fun on the field, and then you have fun off the field with them. So I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, but for me, I always liked being able to go to the field and then go into that friend's house afterwards and having a barbecue with their family and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
That I think that makes the bond grow even more when you can do stuff off the field together.
And I remember, as a kid, always played Babe Ruth, and you were never guaranteed to be on the same team as your buddies. There could be years where you're on a team with no kids that you know. Mm-hmm. And you get those kids that don't want to be there because mom and dad are just throwing them into it. Oh, let's just let them learn baseball. I mean, I still remember I was 14 years old. We had a kid on our Babe Ruth team. It was the first year he had ever played baseball. He was like the kid in the sandlot. Just stand in the outfield, put your glove in the air.
Who's Babe Ruth?
Yeah, who's Babe Ruth? Exactly. And, kids are mean. We know kids are mean, picking on that kid because he might suck, oh, he can't catch, oh, he can't hit, I pretty much guarantee Ryan's probably the kind of kid that took that kid under his wing, work with him, play catch with him. I mean, that was the kid that I would want to go warm up with, Why bring one of your teammates down, and that's when we're talking character, and, that's what earns you the title of captain, and you hold that to the highest standard, when you're the leader of the team. I mean, I'm a born and raised Yankee fan. When I was born, day in the hospital, I was wearing Yankee gear. My grandfather is from the Bronx, my father, and growing up in the era of Derek Jeter, I mean, there's no better baseball player or athlete to look up to. I mean, he's along the lines of MJ, just the greatest. And you see how athletes like that can carry a team, from game one of spring training all the way to the end of the playoffs. And the guy's career is nothing short of spectacular. And I think Ryan definitely has that mindset, that mentality to just keep going and how can I keep getting better? It's like we already know he's a great baseball player, but any skill set can be enhanced. Anything can be taken from scratch and made into something better, And that's what we are. We're taking Ryan here, and it's a blank canvas for us. We've never worked with Ryan. We've only heard great things, so we're going to take all those great things and his already athletic ability. We know he can squat. We know he can deadlift. We know he can jump. But it's how can we make him better at deadlifting? We want him to be the first baseman who can deadlift 500 pounds and then go run a 4.5 40. Stuff
absolutely.
Like that.
That's called functional strength.
And that's what we want. Definition. He should be able to be strong as an ox and fast as a leopard, a supple leopard, right?
Yeah, there you go.
A very
Shouts out Mobility Wad.
Shout out to
Kelly Starrett,
Dr. Star, Mr. Mobility Wad himself. But I mean, that's
his lovely wife Juliet.
That's what we're gonna do for this kid. So I mean, we've touched base on your high school career. So what was after high school? I mean, before you even tell us where you went to school? Did you have any colleges in mind that you personally wanted to go to?
Yeah. So when I was in high school. I
wanted to go to Fullerton.
Yeah, I would say my freshman year, my dad and I started emailing a bunch of colleges, sending them video of me.
Sending them videos, whatever. Yep. Got to start early.
Yeah, and then so I would say the summer before my sophomore year, I started going on some visits, visiting some school. I started talking to some coaches. And then that fall of my sophomore year in high school, I actually committed to the University of San Diego.
Okay.
Which it's very early. I was only a sophomore in high school, but the coaching staff there, I loved the location. I had family in Southern California. So after high school, I went there. I played at University of San Diego for 3 years, for some of the funnest 3 years of my life. I met lifelong friends. And, the college game is fun because your teammates, you become brothers because you do everything together.
You're pretty much your own fraternity
It really is, because
the baseball fraternity.
In the fall, you're seasoned in the spring. So during the fall, you're doing practices. And fall practices are 4 to 5 hours a day. Like they're every day. So you're either in the classroom or you're at the field. And, those days, those long days really teach you how to be mentally tough and how to grind through entire days where you're tired and you don't want to do things. And, it sucked at the time, but, I would do those days all over again just because of how much I learned doing those.
Oh, yeah.
So would you say that was the best part of your baseball career, was right around your college level?
Every part of my baseball career has been different. So high school was a lot of fun. There was a lot of competition, but you get a lot of players who are there just for high school baseball. They don't want to play beyond that. They're there for the fun of it.
Yep.
So high school, that's a lot of fun. High school is probably the most fun I've had playing baseball. And then you get to college, and it gets real serious where you have to win. As coaches, that's all I do is they have to win to keep their jobs. So winning is extremely important. And then when you get to professional baseball, it's I want to use the word selfish, I guess, because it's your own career. So you have to do everything you can to be better than the person next to you.
Trying to get promoted.
Yeah. So, every part of my baseball career has been different. So it's hard for me to say one time is my absolute favorite. It's just because they're different.
And it's different once you get into college because, I still remember fresh out of high school, I went to JC. I went to Delta College in Stockton because still wanted to be with all the buddies and the friends. We still wanted to play ball together, And it got different because now I'm going to school. I got all my normal classwork, but then I have to take theory of offense, theory of defense. I've got weight room in the morning. I got practice in the afternoon, regular class load on top of that. And it's like, man, am I really going to go that far? It's like the person who wrestles in high school, are you going to go become a pro wrestler? The WWE pays millions now, but it's having that mindset. And you've had that mindset since you were a kid. And like you said, it's fun to you. Baseball is fun. We know there's no crying in baseball. We've all seen A League of Their Own, We've all seen The Sandlot. You watch any baseball movie, you see the passion people have for it, watch for love of the game. It's exactly what we're talking about. Whether you're a baseball player, football player, basketball player, having the passion for the sport you play. And, you finished up at San Diego. Did you have any luck there going into like playoffs or championships or
my
anything
sophomore
like that?
year we won the regular season WCC championship, but that was the only thing we won when I was there. My junior year I played half the year and then I got hurt and then I got drafted after that.
Was that the knee injury we talked about?
Yeah.
The dislocation?
Yeah, that was when I dislocated my kneecap and I sprained my MCL.
Okay.
So I missed half the year.
He's completely healthy now, people.
Yeah, that was a year and a half ago.
Nothing to worry about. He's a healthy 22-year-old.
Yeah, I'm all good. But, I think in college, that's where guys really find out if they love the game that they're playing.
Oh, yeah. The
Because of
workload
the
gets
class
even bigger.
Load.
Because of the class load and all the work you put into it, and then you see the students who are just going there for school.
Yep.
And how they're always out having fun, doing all this
Ones that
stuff.
want to party,
like,
go to frat houses, sororities.
That's when you really find out if you really love the game.
Yep.
Because if you don't, then you end up gravitating towards the people who go out all the time.
Yep.
And you don't put in your full effort.
And your
100%
coaches
correct.
are going to have zero tolerance for stuff like that. And, you're either going to be the teammate who obeys or the one who tries to get away with it. But then you're probably the guy showing up hungover to practice, or you're late to a team meeting or something like that. And that shows your character. And we all know now that the pro level athlete, the anything negative against you, they'll dig back into your past and find any little, blemish against you. So it's protecting yourself too, clean social media,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can have a good time, but no one needs to see the picture of you drinking from the beer bong, especially a night before a game. I think your coaches would appreciate that. Unless you just won a title or the World Series, you drink away.
Yeah.
That's what those celebrations are for. And you work up to getting to that level, which you're not far from there. You're right where you need to be. And I mean, like we've talked about, I mean, your goals are solid. You know what you want to do. You know where you want to be going to camp. There's probably guys that will have no idea what they want even when they show up for camp.
Ryan has the mindset, and the mindset is a big piece. If you're trying to figure out what it is you're going to do in life, whether it's be a professional athlete or run a corporation, it's all about your mindset. Like he was saying about the school, the workload. I've been to college. It's huge. Vinny's been to college. It's tremendous workload of the stuff you got to do in a short amount of time. And the teacher isn't there to motivate you and say, oh, you can do it. You can get this work done. They don't care. They don't care if you even show up to class. They're just there to get paid, just like you're there to get an education, just like he's on the field to hopefully one day get a shot at the major leagues. So it's all about your mindset and what you're determined to do and discipline. And that takes a very, very strong mind to make a dream or hopes and wishes into a tangible reality. And that's something that's really cool that you've done, that people can actually see be brought to life from, and bringing you on the podcast, bringing you from talking about your youth career and what started you and what drove you and how that mindset and that discipline and that passion stayed with you the entire time. So let's kind of fade away from that just a bit and talk a little bit about the training that you did from your maybe your youth. If you did anything, you just kind of played the game, which I haven't seen any youth child do any type of training until I moved here to California, and you guys have a whole entire baseball facility over here, to your high school training, your collegiate training, and how you prepped yourself for the major leagues, the draft.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky enough to have my dad who played baseball, so from the hitting and the baseball aspect of things, he's always been the one to guide me through all that training stuff. Growing up, like working out strength-wise, all I would do push-ups, sit-ups, jump rope, whatever. But it wasn't until high school where we had our first, it was called our athletic training class.
Yeah.
With the head coach, PE coach, whatever.
Yeah, which was also your economics teacher,
Yeah.
probably.
So yeah, that's the first time where
Speak
I
for
ever,
yourself.
Start lifting weights, which whatever it was was what it was. But and then you get to college, and then that's when it ramps up because you realize that the good teams are the stronger teams, and the freshmen will come in and they'll always be uncoordinated. Even because in high school, everyone, the players that go to college, they're the ones that are the most athletic, the good players. But you see these freshmen, they come up and they start doing these lifts and they have no coordination, and you're just like, well, how is that even possible? But
Lifting
I
with
was
bad
one of them.
form, bad technique.
I was one of them. You show up and the strength coach has to put you through all the stuff and show you how to do everything. So, but I mean, yeah, in college you realize it. The good teams are the stronger teams and the more athletic teams. And honestly, that athleticism comes from the weight room. It really does. There's a lot that you can do in the weight room that makes you more athletic. So yeah, once I got to college, that was when I first started ramping up and actually putting on some strength, which really helped my game.
And a lot of the times, too, it's kind of self-guided what you're doing in the collegiate weight room. I mean, you do have a strength and conditioning specialist, but it's more your work is written up on a board, or you probably have a team binder, and you know what you have to do, whether it's coming in and you're doing power cleans and you're hitting your squats, you're going to max out on deadlift, you might do a little plyometric work. It's more the inner athlete that you have too. It's like, well, the coach isn't really telling me what to do, but it's you work at a capacity and a level of if you have someone in the back of your head telling you what to do. And I think the greatest part about what we're going to be doing for you is we're going to be that voice, but we're also going to be right there and still give you the room to perform at your own. It allows us to step back too and watch you move. You know, we don't have to constantly be critiquing you. We can save that for the end because we know you're an athlete. We know you're always going to be pushing for your best, striving to be your best. You know, maximum effort is what we're looking for. So we're going to take a quick break, folks. We will be right back with Ryan Kirby of the SF Giants. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back, guys, to the CFT Fitcast, episode 7, with our special guest, Ryan Kirby. If you're just tuning in, Ryan is a member of the SF Giants organization. He is the next big thing, guys. Trust us. And he gets to be trained by me and Matt. So, not to brag, but it's going to be pretty cool.
Very cool.
So we left off, we've talked about Ryan's childhood, growing up playing Little League. We've got into high school. We graduated high school. We're in college now. You're what, 3 years in?
Yeah, I got
And
2 semesters.
2 semesters left. And why don't you take it from there? So college is almost over.
Yeah. So
What's next? What are you studying, anyways?
Well, I majored in business administration.
Okay.
So basically, all my classes that I have left are part of the major. So
Okay.
all the business classes. So I got drafted in 2016 after my junior year of college. So yeah, I'm currently with the San Francisco Giants. So after I got drafted, I went straight to Arizona for 2 weeks. And when I first got there, you had to go through the whole physical process.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to take your physicals. You had to do FMS testing, all sorts of stuff.
FMS?
Oh, man.
What's
I
that?
figured you guys would know about that.
Functional movement screening.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've had to do that a ton with
Good
the
old
Giants.
FMS.
How many ones did you get?
I don't think
A
I
bunch
got
of
any-
ones or
I don't think
zeros?
I got any ones.
Did you get zeros on your
No.
score? Did you get twos?
I would get 2s and 3s.
Okay.
Not very many 3s, mostly 2s.
Good
Okay.
old FMS.
Yeah. But yeah, so we do that, and then I think I played in 2 games in Arizona, and then I went up to Oregon, played there for, that season, and then went home for the off season, and then this past year is my first full season
Okay.
of baseball.
So where were you playing this last season?
So this last season, I started in Augusta, Georgia. I was there for about a month, and then I went back to Oregon where I played last year, and I played there for the remainder of the year. I had a good year there, so that was good.
Okay. So the fans want to know, what was your finishing batting average for the year?
My finishing batting average, I think it was 275.
Hey. What'd you hit? What were the power numbers?
Okay, okay, I'll give you all the stats.
Let's get everything
So-
out
Pour 'em
there.
out.
The people need
I've
to
had
know.
What round were you drafted?
I was drafted in the 12th round.
12th.
Okay.
12th round of the Giants. So I ended up batting 275. I had 8 home runs. I had 65 RBIs.
Hey.
That's 65 RBIs in 75 games.
Nice.
Jesus.
And I ended up winning the MVP in that league in Oregon. So
I think this kid's gonna do good, Matt. I think we'll be watching
This is the
him
next
in
revolution of
San
athletes.
Francisco one day.
From the dugout.
Hey, if they let it, I mean, we could be on. We can throw you. Maybe your dad can throw you batting practice.
you never
You
know.
know, and we'll be. I'll stretch you. Matt will warm you up.
You're
I don't care.
Your traveling
Yeah, it'll be
coaches.
the home run derby. You guys will be out there in between rounds.
Sure, I'll rob you at the wall.
Yeah.
I got hops for a little boy.
Out there running around with the kids.
Yeah,
It's my ball.
running them over. You know, they're ruthless out there for home run.
I see him.
derby.
It's so funny.
All right, very cool. Hey, it sounds like a very productive year for you.
Yeah, solid athlete.
For the amount of games too. And I mean, what we were talking about yesterday, you guys spend a lot of time in the bus. You don't have the luxury of hopping on the jet and, flying in comfort. You guys could be on a bus for 8 to 12 hours sometimes going across state lines and crummy hotel rooms, maybe most likely, and
bad hotel rooms.
Hotel rooms where you keep your shoes on in the shower, probably.
Yeah.
So you don't get that fungus because your feet are important.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. I mean, his season, a lot of the time is spent in the car.
And that's something I want to point out real quick. Those of you that do work out here at CFT Fitness that can't move or not mobile, that can't even hold a bar over your head to do overhead squat, this man sits more in a day than you do in a week probably on the bus, traveling, getting to games, prepping, lack of sleep. Nobody's telling him what he needs to stretch. So this guy finds the time to not only perform at an elite level and sit for countless hours in a car, but he also finds the time to stay mobile and stay agile because that's part of his job.
Yep. And I think a lot of people, tend to think professional athletes have it so easy. They make all this money. Like, his job is not easy. You look at the professional baseball player that has 162 games in a season. You're away from your family. You're traveling from state to state, different time zones. There's really no downtime for the baseball player at all. You could have a 3-game set, hop on a plane, go right to a 4-game series with a team. And for someone like Ryan, they could play a team in Kentucky one night and have to drive to Idaho and be there by the afternoon of the next day. And then he has to sleep on the bus. Yeah. And most of these guys aren't going to get out and go take yoga or stretch or grab a foam roller.
6'2".
6'2" on
and
a bus.
And he sits in a cram bus.
We had some guys that are 6'8" on a bus.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you're out of that bus, and then it's, maybe go sleep for 6 to 8 hours if you're lucky, and then you got to be at the field by a certain time.
And you got to perform.
Your nutrition is all thrown out of whack. So
you can't just tell the coach, I was just on a bus for 8 hours, man. And, I'm not really I don't feel like, stretching out for that ball today.
So feeding off of that, how do you make the most out of your time when you're on that bus? And do you have any rituals when you get off the bus, taking care of your body? Because, you're fairly young, but you're going to get older. Your body's going to take the wear and tear. What do you do to stay in that mindset to where you're sitting in a bus for 10 hours and then you go 3 for 3 in your next game?
So, the more you do it, you get kind of creative. When you're on the bus, you try to sleep as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys will bring mats and they sleep on the ground. Sometimes we would hang up like hammocks, across, and we would try and sleep in those. But the biggest thing for me, so when we would do these long bus rides, it would be throughout the night. So a game would end at 10, and we would end up leaving around 11. So if we had a 9-hour bus ride, you're getting there around, I don't know, it was usually around like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So the first thing I would do is I would go straight to the hotel breakfast, and I would try to eat as much as I could. And then from there, I would go, and usually I would sleep. I would usually go straight to bed. But a lot of guys, they would sleep all the way up until their alarm would go off, and they would get straight onto the bus and go to the field. I would make sure that I would give myself at least an hour and a half where I could shower. Sometimes I would stretch. I would try to get some food in my system. Mm-hmm. But I would try to move around a little bit, because the days where you're real tired and you don't want to get out of bed and you just go straight to the field, literally your body cannot do anything.
Your brain hasn't warmed up.
It's a bad feeling, because you get out there in the stretch line and you go to jog for that first time and then you can't even move. It's like you're walking. Mm-hmm. So if you don't find time, like just 10 minutes to move around and stretch
10 minutes.
or something, like
10 minutes.
You literally, it's so hard to play in a game that matters, because that's the thing about professional baseball, is that every at bat matters. So if you think about it, if you have 15 to 20 long bus rides, well, that's 15. So that's like 20 games out of the year where you're tired and you don't want to be out there. So 20 times 4 at bats, that's 80 at bats total.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take those 80 at bats where you're tired and you can't give it everything you got, well, that's a big deal with your batting average. Your batting average goes way down.
Oh yeah.
So just out of those days, if you take those days off, it all adds up. So everything matters. Everything that you do matters, and it's hard. It takes a little while to get used to it.
Batting average goes down, on base percentage
Everything
is
goes
down,
down,
and
yeah.
all of your numbers now. No, it's like, oh, this kid, he's in
Yeah.
a slump. We're just going to keep him down in low A. He's fit for right there.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
and that's the other thing is that the organization isn't going to move you up to a full season if they don't think you can handle playing 144 games
Nope.
in a year.
And you see
Yeah.
it too. You see guys that could come up, and by the end of the week, they're back down. Mm-hmm. It's a vicious cycle. And especially being a Yankee fan. I mean, this was the first year where it was, who's that guy? Who's that dude on the mound? And seeing guys like, Clint Frazier come up from the minors, and even guys like Judge right now, another California boy, got to
Quick
give a
question:
shout out.
Did you ever play against Aaron Judge when he played for Fresno State?
No, he's older than I was.
Oh, okay.
No,
50 home runs?
that's a lot of home runs.
Could be an MVP. I mean, hey, hopefully we're talking about you in this.
Could you imagine Aaron Judge on a bus?
285-pound
He
human?
would need 2 rows to himself.
And that's the thing, you look at athletes like that, even like an athlete like who we were talking about yesterday, CC Sabathia, who's 6'10", or guys like retired Randy Johnson, just under 7 feet tall. Like, there's
Well,
no.
that's the thing. They all went through the bus rides. You
Yep.
have to before. you
Everybody,
make it to the
yeah,
bigs.
it's paying your dues.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Initiation.
And there's so much money involved up in the big leagues that if you don't perform, then they just get someone
Yep.
else. So.
And minor league baseball
will
too.
perform.
It's they're putting a lot of money into it. Being here in Tracy, we've got access to the Stockton ports. You've got the Modesto Nuts. You can take a trip up to Sacramento and watch the River Cats. There is so much baseball in California. I mean, how many teams does this state have, from just a professional and collegiate standpoint? We're in one of the biggest sports states around, next
there's
to
a lot of
Texas
talent out
and,
there.
Florida.
And if you're not performing, there's plenty of talent to fill in your shoes if you don't want to
Exactly.
perform.
And that's the thing. Minor league baseball is there's always another guy gunning for your job.
Yep. And exactly, too, you're
everywhere.
looking at how bad of a season the Giants had this year. Bottom of the division, and now you're that up-and-coming kid. You could be on that team one day, playing first base, and you better believe we're going to know who that kid is, playing first base, Could be, you're in the National League, there is no DH.
No.
You get to play all day.
Yeah.
And that's
All
the thing,
day,
you're
every day.
used to playing all day and
Yeah.
all year. Even this kid played 120 games, and he's fresh from finishing his season, and he's next door hitting in the cages, playing catch with his dad, running through his own drills by himself. Most athletes, most people cannot do that.
Got to practice your skill. Keep it on the edge.
Most people need someone holding their hand through everything,
Yeah.
and they're still going to question us as coaches. Why are we doing this? Why do we have to do that? Ryan's the type of athlete that's going to come in here. We're going to tell him what needs to be done, and he's going to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to come in and practice it on his own. He's going to do the homework that we give him. When we tell him to have a cheat meal, he's going to have it.
If I tell him to do 3 minutes on the couch stretch per leg, he's probably going to do 4 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, I might do that a couple times too.
If we tell him, hey, Ryan,
Mindset.
we want you to go out this weekend, enjoy yourself, have a couple beers, go watch a movie, go see your girlfriend, live your life, baseball's always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to give up on that dream, and then, next week you're going to go be an accountant. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is that you do have to find ways to turn yourself off. I can't think about baseball 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
You
Did
know,
you
if
ever
I
umpire?
did, I would go insane.
Did you ever umpire as a kid?
No.
No.
Good thing.
See, and that's the thing that's what really got me into where I found my passion for training. Was I started out in the umpire program, and then eventually, once I was old enough to pretty much drive, started coaching. And I think the hardest thing was dealing with parents.
Oh yeah.
at that age. The whole zero tolerance, parents yelling, parents screaming. I mean, it's a different world out there. I have a niece who plays softball and soccer, and parents are different. Parents are ruthless these days. I think we are in an age where too many moms and dads are, like Coach Matt said, living through the eyes of their kids.
Yeah.
Dad might have had the dream of being a baseball player, but has a hot shot kid like Ryan, and I'm going to ride that kid all the way. Just like, what is it, the Ball family in the NBA.
Yep.
They're the new up and coming family in the NBA. And it's those kids are talented, but it's also you got a big push from the mom and the dad. And I think in your case, it's been more of always the positive push. We're not going to force you to play baseball. Because I'm
they
sure
probably didn't even have aspirations
your
for you to be professional when you were younger.
I'm sure your brother had the same.
I'm sure everyone wants that. But
yeah. And I'm sure your brother probably had the same opportunities as you did.
Yeah, it all depends on if you want to do it or not.
And you find that out at a pretty young age.
Yeah,
when you're good at something.
Yeah, you can tell when you go out and you're with other guys. You know if you're better.
Oh yeah,
than them.
you know when you're better than guys. And I mean there were guys that I was better than, but it was never, man, I'm going to be great one day.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, and then there's sometimes you see guys and you're like, you think you're better than him, but the guy just goes out and is the best player on the field all the time. You're like, how does he do it?
Yep.
And I mean, it's mindset. There's,
and I always used to be that kid, you'd see the kid that would get the brand new bat and the brand new glove and the brand new cleats. And, I grew up in a house with two other brothers, and, my parents worked every day, and it was, you shared everything with your brothers. Like when I wasn't on the field using my glove, my other brother was using my glove. We shared the same bat all year round. It's a privilege to play sports. And, today's age, kids are involved in everything. Whether it's after school activities, and then they play soccer, and then they come here and take CrossFit, and then they go to dance, afterwards.
It's crazy.
It's a whole lot. And then you expect kids to still maintain good grades in school. Yeah. And you can't be a dumb athlete either.
No, you cannot. You have to get good grades.
In high school, you've got weekly grade checks, got to maintain a GPA. Some of the more scholarship athletes, I think it's more the football, probably basketball, where you put in 1 year, win maybe 11, 12 games, and then you're pro by the next year. I think the ones that stay that extra year, stay that year after that, those are the ones that are going to do so much better as they get older, because I don't want to go pro at 19. Yeah. That's scary.
Oh, that
is some scary business. I mean, imagine when Derek Jeter came onto the scene in 96, fresh out of playing in the minors, and goes to a World Series.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was in high school, I was talking to pro scouts. I actually got drafted out of high school too by the Giants, but I went to school. But that was, gosh, I mean, having them talk to me about money and stuff when I was 18.
I mean, these days they're coming to you when you're in middle school.
Man, that is,
because that's the day and age too. Is there's so much more content. People can film you, post videos with the snap of a finger. And that's what you're getting. Coach Matt,
did you ever find any like self-doubt whenever those major league guys came up to you at such a young age, or were you pretty much motivated from there on out? Like you were like, yeah, I do got it. Or were you kind of like, am I ready for this?
Yeah, there's that feeling of, can I do it? Anytime you're doing something that you've never done before, like, you don't know if you could do it or not. For me, it was, that would have been the first time I was really on my own. And that part scared me. That part scared me a lot. But, I mean, once you do it, because I got drafted out of high school, but I went to college. But right after my senior year of high school, I went straight to summer ball, the college summer ball league. So I went up to Washington, and I stayed with the host family for that summer. And that was the first time I was on my own. And at first, it scared the crap out of me. But, I mean, you do it, and you learn. It's just, before you jump off the cliff, that's the scariest part.
Just the nerves.
Once you jump, then it's, everything is great. So it's just, things are scary, but once you get out there and you actually do it, that's when you realize that, okay, I'm actually more mentally strong than I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've talked quite a bit.
It's been a pleasure talking to this kid
of becoming a professional athlete, from finding a passion at a young age and a love for a sport to having the right mindset and a healthy relationship with parents to kind of guide you and mold you into this elite athlete. And it's not just about the young age. It comes into the high school and the collegiate, and then, of course, your mindset and determination to be good. So thanks for coming on to the podcast and explaining to not only the kids but the parents also the steps necessary to take to become this elite level.
Definitely good luck.
Yeah, appreciate it. This is fun.
Congratulations on everything. I mean, we're looking forward to kicking your butt over these next 3 months. So this is Coach Vinny.
Coach Matt.
Coach Chris is not here, but we'll see you guys later on.